Greetings from Camp Arrah Wanna, located in Welches, Oregon, right at the base of Mount Hood. My name is Corey Hughes, and I'm the program director here at Camp Arrah Wanna. Camp Arrah Wanna was founded in 1941 by the American Baptist churches as a place for people of all ages to experience outdoor education and opportunities, strengthening their faith alongside a safe community out in God's beautiful creation. Throughout the course of our 80-year history, our programs have evolved quite a lot. Our campers and volunteers represent at least 17 American Baptist churches, as well as quite a few other churches and communities. We offer programs for students as young as 3rd grade all the way through to the young adults in their 20s. This includes a week of summer camp in July, as well as a weekend of winter camp in February, and our young adult retreat that happens near the New Year's Eve weekend. We also wrap up our summer season with Friends and Family Camp during the Labor Day weekend. This is a time for people of all ages and demographics to come and enjoy the camp experience and community together. None of these events are possible without the time, creativity, gifts, pre-planning, and presence of many volunteers serving in a variety of roles. The purpose of this video message today is to serve as kind of an introduction of what it looks like to volunteer in our programs, as well as some basic expectations to help you in considering whether or not volunteering is something you are interested in, and whether or not you are a match for the purposes of the mission and purpose of our programs. Today we're going to be looking at our youth program camps specifically. This would include our one weekend of winter camp, as well as our week in the summer for campers grades 3 through 12. The past couple of years, we have been working hard to clarify and streamline the volunteer roles during these sessions so that our volunteers can know exactly what it is that is expected of them, while also being able to focus on that specific role and not be distracted or stretched thin by other responsibilities, whether camp or outside related. We want our campers to have the full attention, love, and care of the volunteers who are serving them, regardless of the role, and we want our volunteers to feel rewarded and not burned out or stressed. Notice I'm not promising that you won't still be tired. We have created this trifold brochure, which contains most of the key roles that are necessary for us to fill for each camp session. It also has a brief explanation of what each role consists of. As with any of our flyers or brochures, please let us know if we can send you one or many to share around. Our volunteer positions include camp pastors, cabin counselors, counselors in training or CITs, camp grandparents, wellness counselors, medics, and worship team leadership. While there are key program support positions which require some levels of professional experience and training, and we simply cannot safely run camp without their presence, it is also vitally important that we have 2 adult counselors in each cabin with campers at all times. Each of these roles is vital for our programs to run successfully, and most especially when the entire team works in tandem together. One of the greatest wonders of camp and camping ministry is that no matter what role you serve in, you have the potential to make a great impact on the lives of the campers. People's lives from generation to generation are forever changed at camp. During our time together at camp, we spend our days and nights together. We eat, play, sing, study, sleep, all within the close community together for a really condensed period of time. Taken out of our usual day-to-day routines and bubbles, we form new relationships and deepen old ones. We step out of our comfort zones into the growth zone and discover more about who we are and who God made us to be. Barriers and boundaries are lowered, and we allow ourselves to be vulnerable as we share life together, serving and being served, both campers and volunteers alike. Amazing things happen at camp. Lives being transformed by the Holy Spirit of God through the ministry happening at camp, while exciting and amazing, is a pretty heavy thing. We are so excited to be a part of the growth and maturity of the campers, and with good reason. And it's important to recognize the level of responsibility that involves. As soon as a parent or guardian steps away, they have signed the 24/7 physical, emotional, spiritual, everything care of their most prized possession over to us. This is not something to be taken lightly. It is very important that we take each conversation and each action very seriously, that we are always on the alert for the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual safety of those around us. Whatever role you serve in, the campers are all looking to you as a mentor, as a spiritual leader and guide, as a safe person. It is important for all volunteers to behave and speak with maturity and wisdom. Our campers come from a very wide range of backgrounds. Some have lived through and may still be living through some very traumatic experiences. Some have never been away from home, some have never stepped foot in a church, while others have a totally different faith background or perspective than you or I. While at camp, our responsibility is to love on each of these campers and to be an encouragement toward their growth, whatever that may look like. Chances are, their journey is not going to look the same as mine or yours. If we want them to look back on their time at Camp Arrah Wanna as a time in which they were safe and loved, then we will not focus on conforming them into our likeness or ideology, but rather, we will encourage them to simply be seeking after the Lord and striving to be more like Jesus. Some of the ways we can do this is to demonstrate our love and our faith by our actions. The secret to working with kiddos of any age is to establish a warm and safe professional friendship with them. Make safety and health the #1 priority. Caring volunteers are with the campers, or know where they are at all times. Caring volunteers say a calm and friendly no to campers when necessary. The best volunteers are always found with their campers, watching them, listening to them, playing with them, having fun together. Caring volunteers make time for one-to-one talks, when and where appropriate, with each camper receiving special individual attention every day. Listen deeply and let the camper do most of the talking. Create enthusiasm by singing, chanting, laughing, being cheerful, being enthusiastic, and genuinely enjoying being with them. Praise campers whenever they do something creative, caring, unselfish, or beneficial for the rest of the group. Use spoken words or special notes to encourage them. Children of all ages need praise and encouragement, like flowers need water and sunshine. Lead campers, but never boss them. Caring volunteers are not bosses, they are leaders. A leader says we, not I. A leader inspires enthusiasm, not fear. The boss shouts, "Do it." The leader says, "Let's do it together." The boss makes work a drudgery, the leader makes it a joy. Caring volunteers lead daily meetings with their campers, share experiences, laugh together, discuss problems, make plans. This is the time to let campers make decisions and talk about whatever topics are the most interesting to them. They are discovering their identity. Be a safe space and person for them to voice it and to explore. Caring volunteers are alert and continuously on the watch for campers who are unhappy and having problems or just need extra help. Campers who are too aggressive or too quiet usually need extra special attention. Encourage campers to talk, but never force them to. Put the needs of the campers first. To work effectively with children, you must put their needs above your own. Let them decide what to do at cabin time. Don't reject ideas because they are too much trouble for you. Serve them first at meals. Interact with your campers, not your peers and fellow volunteers. Remember that you are here to serve the campers, and that means sometimes you miss out on some of the fun because you're serving during this time. Give special attention to each camper at bedtime and throughout the day. Read or tell appropriate stories, sing songs, lead informal discussions. Specifically at bedtime, make the time for one-on-one attention for each camper. You don't have to physically tuck them in fact, please don't, but find a way for them to recognize that you are acknowledging them individually and you are there for them at the close of the day before they go to sleep. Campers, parents, and churches will judge their camp experience on how well they are cared for, on how the volunteers serve them, the things that you say and do. If you think a game is boring, so will they. If you have a blast, so will they. No matter what your role, you set the tone for the week. Your help in carrying out the goals for the week set by Camp Arrah Wanna staff and working with this year's theme are appreciated and necessary. These things are created based upon the very diverse needs of our wider audience of campers, families, and churches. When we all work together toward these common goals and themes, we have a better opportunity to make a lasting impact on the lives of these campers and those they come into contact with back home. Camp is not the place to push your own agenda or narrative. We must always keep the big picture in mind, and we need our volunteers to look to themselves as partners in what we have already set forth, rather than seeking to create their own bubble or audience or culture. A successful camp session requires all hands on deck. It requires us to be fully staffed. In our efforts to seek a higher standard in our operations, we are no longer able to hold a camp session if we do not have all of the appropriate volunteer positions filled. We will cancel camp if we do not have a full team of cabin counselors or any of the other key positions from the medics to the camp pastors. This ensures that our volunteers are well supported, that they are not stressed, tired, burned out, and that they can serve our campers better. It means the campers have the full attention of their cabin counselors, their camp pastors, the medic, the wellness counselor, and each and every other adult volunteer who is serving and loving on them. A successful camp session requires everyone to stay in their own lane. That means each person is focused on the role they are given so that they can do it to the best of their ability. And it means that folks are more focused on the campers under their care rather than what other volunteers are or are not doing. A successful camp session means that our volunteers are fully immersed in what is happening alongside the campers. We need you to come to camp prepared to be in the midst of things with the campers. This is a chance for you to step away from distractions as well. Camp time is a real thing. It can be hard to remember the day of the week or what time it is. A successful camp session requires our volunteers to help us maintain the schedule by being focused and on time and present in all ways as much as possible. A successful camp session means we have provided training and team building for our volunteers and that those volunteers have participated. A successful camp session requires teamwork. That means attending the required trainings that are offered and getting to know the rest of the volunteers you are serving alongside. You won't have time to hang out with them during the week because you'll be focused on the campers, right? So take advantage of the times we offer for trainings and orientations. A successful camp session requires us to be seeking ways to better ourselves. That means attending trainings and taking advantage of training materials or opportunities that are offered or suggested during your own time. It means spending time investing in your own faith, spending time in the Word, praying and communing with the Lord. A successful camp session means that our volunteers are well rested and focused on their purpose for serving instead of themselves. It means that they are in a good place and have set aside whatever things may distract them from the ministry happening around them. In fact, if you are overwhelmed with stress and filled with distracting anxiety, if your emotions are not under control or your life is being driven by unhealthy circumstances right now, if you are not actively pursuing and growing in your faith and relationship with Jesus, then I really need you to consider whether or not it is best for the program and for the campers for you to be present and serving. This does not mean that we think you should have all the answers or that you can't volunteer if your life isn't perfect. We all have stress and anxiety, and Jesus always calls us to come to Him just as we are. But for the safety of our program and especially other volunteers and campers, we ask that you ask yourself whether you are in a balanced enough place to set your own life concerns aside in order to focus on caring for our campers. Serving as a volunteer is rewarding and can impact your life in profound ways, but only if your purpose is to first invest in others. The payoff for you is a secondary bonus after caring for the campers. A successful camp session means we are each making decisions that are best for the campers and the camp program. It means we are setting aside our past history and experience with camp, or even our own styles or ways that we think things should be, or the way our individual church may do things. It means the camp session is about the campers and not me. A successful camp session means we are willing to step up our game before, during, and after the session in order to give all of ourselves to serving these campers for the short period of time that we have to spend with them. What makes for a successful camp session? You do. If after all of this, you are still interested in serving as a volunteer in the programs at Camp Arrah Wanna, then please do check out our website for a volunteer application. Serving at camp is so often a sacrifice. It's challenging, and yet changing a life for Christ is the greatest privilege we will ever have. So often, we don't see the impact for months or years to come, but we do know that what we are doing here is making a difference in lives, week after week, all year long, for many years to come. A successful camp session means a fabulous team of people have come together, setting themselves aside in order to make sure that this happens. For 80 years, generations of generous, servant-minded people have done this here at this special, beautiful place by the river. Please, pray, and consider joining us in investing in the next generation. We hope to hear from you soon.